What's up, YouTube? So, I've been getting really hitting a stone wall here with trying to get through to a lot of people and with facts and information regarding this Bob Lazar case and my investigation thereof. I'm getting people just blocking me left and right. These hardcore, devout Bob Lazar fans who are just people who aren't interested in the truth, aren't interested in real information. They just want to push a narrative. They just want to believe. It's literally just like Mulder's infamous "I want to believe" poster that's in his room. So I'm getting called a CIA agent now, and a government disinfo agent, and a troll, and all this stuff. This guy, Jeremy Corbell Kenyon Lockyer, has blocked me, and won't answer any of my questions. He's going on Larry King and getting interviews with all these, he's getting a huge plug, and it's just kind of crazy. It's like, who is this guy? I never heard of this guy, like, years ago when I've been doing research in UFOs and stuff for a while. And how did he get the inside scoop on Bob Lazar with the inside access that nobody else could ever get? How does he get Hollywood talent to go and direct his and narrate his film? Like, really, who is this guy? Like, how does he have all this nice cameras and equipment and the ability to do all this stuff? And why is he now attacking me and convincing his audience and his viewers that I'm the disinfo agent? A guy who works over 40 hours a week, hard labor and construction. I can show you pictures of my work. If you want me to bring up pictures of the stuff I do for work, I can show you. Here's some tile. This is like, I can show you I can prove who I am and my background. I've been in the trenches doing research into UFOs. I actually have a degree in physics. I went to college for this stuff. Haven't worked in the field as a scientist because of my interest in this stuff, and I've been pretty much blacklisted from this kind of from a lot of career opportunities because of my views and telling the truth, and can't get security clearances with the work I do. And I make enough money doing construction. It's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy building things, and that's what I do. But I'm getting accused of being a government agent, and that I'm a troll, and all this stuff. And these people are pathetic. They don't want to look at evidence. They don't listen to all. This came out in 1994 by this is Tom Mahood. Tom Mahood and Stanton Friedman have done some of the best research into Bob Lazar that's out there, and they've really dug into the guy's past and shown who he really is. He didn't work at S-4. He didn't work at Area S-4. Probably doesn't exist for all we know. I've gone into that and other videos, but I'm of the opinion now. Look, I have 5 patrons. Okay, 5 people supporting me, like $30 I get per every creation. That's the ones I claim, and I don't claim a lot of stuff. I'm gonna actually claim this video as a creation, and I haven't done so in a while, and I'm not gonna charge people who become patrons for every piece of stupid podcasts that I produce. These aren't really things that I should be getting paid for. I really need to be doing more production work and putting better production together for people. But I could do that if I had the funding, but I don't have the funding. It's kind of, I make so much more money doing real work and going to my real job that I don't bother with this kind of stuff, because, again, I do all this hard work and I don't get any appreciation or credit for it. Nobody really cares. They want to believe Bob Lazar and George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell Kenyon Lockyer and Tom DeLonge, and they want to believe these people, and they don't want to look at information or other other sources. And really, I'm gonna wrap up the Lazar case. I could put out the best summary and documentary on this ever, and I want your help. I'm trying to crowdsource a full-on investigation into Jeremy Corbell, Kenyon Lockyer, and Bob Lazar. I want to know everything about these two guys, seeing as I'm being so attacked right now, just for trying to dig into this a little further, get questions asked, and getting blocked, and all this. We're gonna take the full offensive if people are serious about this. Become patrons. Um, Pledge your support for this, and let's get funding for a counter documentary on Bob Lazar, because Jeremy Corbell's his whole video didn't really take it didn't show the other side. It just showed a pro Lazar propaganda piece. It's all it was. It was just like, if you haven't heard anything about Lazar, it's a great introduction to the case. But if you really are familiar with the case and you've done your research into Bob Lazar and read like all the stuff that Tom Mahood and Stan Friedman have dug up on him, then you want something that really answers those questions and gets into it in a little bit more detail. And so a lot of people just aren't aware of this information, or they just shut it off completely before they can really digest it. But I'm working with a couple other people right now who are really interested in this Lazar case, including a guy who's a great documentary filmmaker who's really neutral to the whole position, and he wants to get my side, but also get other sides of the story and stuff, and try to put like a really neutral piece together on this. So we're looking for anyone who has information about. You can email me at thealienscientist@gmail.com. That's THE, alien scientist, all one word, @gmail.com. And if you have any information you'd like to be interviewed, like to talk to us, please get in touch. I want we're already doing tons of research right now. We've got a private investigator out in Los Alamos looking into all of Bob's records from Los Alamos, and everything else that we can find on him, including contacts and people that he knew in Los Alamos, people that were in touch with him, people that knew him, people that did business with him. We've already got a lot of information from court filings. But really, the whole summary of this, and I can show how much Bob really plagiarized and stole a lot of his story from Billy Meyer, who was one of the earlier successful UFO frauds of the 1970s, mid-1970s. He was very popular. Of course, his wife has completely outed him and said that he faked all his pictures and all his stories about contact with aliens, and it was all a hoax. He swears to this day, he still sells the story to this day. But it's interesting that Billy talks about the propulsion system, and his this alien contact that he had, some jase. And it's interesting because Billy writes about this in his books. He's published several books on his supposed contact with aliens, and it's funny because he talks about antimatter propulsion, and antimatter propulsion system for space travel being the anti-gravity one. But it's clear that he probably combined this with some other information that he got on super heavy elements, such as element 115, and the possibility of the island of stability, which was all talked about in a May 1989 issue of Scientific American, in an article which I'm going to buy if we can get the funding for it. It cost me about $8, so I can get the article. I can buy it for $8 and get a digital PDF of that whole issue, and I can get that, so I can get the copy of that article. I'd like to add that article to my page, showing all the research that I have on Bob Lazar so far. If you go to lazar.html on alienscientist.com, lazar.html is my stuff on element 115 and all of Bob's scientific disclosures and the things that he talked about, including, and I'm going to be updating all this stuff. I want to put a lot more time and say I got broken links and stuff here, and I'd like to put more work into this, because this case has gotten a lot more attention. It's gotten a lot more people paying attention to it. Carrie Cassidy's now of Project Camelot, and a lot of other people who are uh, have interviewed a lot of these guys in the past are now skeptical about who is Jeremy Corbell, Kenyon Lockyer. Who is this guy? Why does he have all these connections? Like, where did he come from nowhere to be, kind of hitting on the scene? And now we've got like ufology being completely taken over by this guy, Bob Lazar, and the To the Stars with Tom DeLonge. It's kind of like, is this the CIA's, or the Pentagon's disinformation takeover of the whole movement? And because you got to wonder why this gets so many views. And then the truth gets suppressed so violently. Like, I get blocked from all these top pages. I can't even comment on them or talk about them. And I see people tagging this guy in them, and I can't see him anymore because he's blocked me. And it's insanity. Yeah, so I would like to, Bob Lazar, I guarantee you there's more information and stuff we can dig up on this guy, because what we already know about him is he's a pathological liar. He rips tons of people off. He ran a company called United Nuclear after this UFO story came out, where he was the #1 glass supplier for meth labs across the Midwest United States, which is interesting. Someone brought up the issue of meth on last week's show, and got me researching that more in depth. And around the same time that he came out with the story, he was actually in Los Alamos, running in not Los Alamos, but what's the other one? Las Vegas. Sorry, he was in Las Vegas running one of the world's first online prostitution brothels, and he was convicted of pandering, pled out to pandering. But we're getting subpoenas now, so Bob Lazar pandering charge. So he was basically a desperate guy who pretty much would have done anything for money, setting up a pimping service to hook up Johns with call girls through the internet, the early days of the internet. And you can get information on this, but we've got a PI looking into this case a little bit more and trying to get in touch with some of the people involved, the madam of the brothel, track down some of these people and get interviews. I want to put together our own documentary where we show the other side of Bob's past and story, and come up with a different, because I have a whole different theory on Bob Lazar than the one that Jeremy Corbell is sticking to and kind of ignoring. And UFO Watchdog has some stuff on Bob Lazar, and I have one with the original Social Security number that's not redacted and has the original Social Security number on it. And that actually belonged to Bob Lazar's ex-wife, who died under mysterious circumstances, and Bob swears that the government killed her, as part of this to scare him into not talking anymore about all the stuff that he knew, even though it was all over the television when I was a child, and it was like the government really didn't want this information getting out. They don't get it. It doesn't get out. It doesn't get to mainstream TV. It doesn't get to big-time producers. It doesn't. It sits, in my videos in the back end of YouTube and gets, shared around by people like you who care about the truth, and, but it gets ignored by these mainstream sources and stuff. So, it would be great to have interviewed his ex-wife. It would be great if she could have told us the story like Billy Meyer's ex-wife, told us, or it's like, yeah, this guy made the whole, something. But there's got to be other people in Bob's past that could tell us similar stories, or enough that we could paint the picture of him that shows the real Bob. And that's not a brilliant physicist who was, hired for his keen intellect and ability to, reverse engineer these propulsion systems. That's clearly not who he is. But yeah, we got a huge investigation going into Bob Lazar right now, and I also want people who have any information on Jeremy Corbell and want to share that, or come forward with anything. And you know, his site, Extraordinary Beliefs, and your beliefs are pretty extraordinary, especially when you know, didn't weaponize your curiosity. It's a really good documentary on Bob Lazar, and we could really get into this case and weaponize our curiosity to an extent that, you know, he can't possibly fake, you know, with all his flashy pictures of oscilloscopes and, you know, voltage testing equipment. So yeah, I would like to go interview with XGENG. Is everything fake? I wouldn't say everything's fake. 90% of the stuff's fake, and anything that's like out there in the mainstream, a lot of it is, man. Like, I don't know. It's just you have to investigate stuff, and there's some things that you can prove as fake definitively, and then there's other things that where it's like, you know, wait, well that's still up in the air. We still don't know about that, and then it's all up to you of what you want to believe, because to a lot of people, Bob Lazar is not fake. Bob Lazar is very real, and all the stuff that I'm saying about him can be explained away in their belief system. I actually had a guy, you know, well, he was saying this, you know, I was telling him, I have a degree in physics, you know, like I know a little bit about, you know, heavy elements and the physics of anti-gravity and propulsion systems. I've been kind of studying propulsion systems and stuff for a very long time, and what can you tell me about it? And you know, I could probably tell you a lot about it. And he actually, he believes Bob Lazar and believes Bob Lazar is a physicist, but he questioned whether or not I actually had a degree. And he's like, oh, well, where's the proof that you actually have a degree? You're really a physicist. So you believe that Bob Lazar is a physicist and that he's telling the truth, but you're questioning me whether I'm telling the truth and whether I have a degree. And I don't know, it's just, it's pretty... it's pretty absurd to me, some of the stuff. But anyways, I just wanted to share with you all. Pass the word. Get in touch with people. Send them my email, thealienscientist@gmail.com. I'm going to be doing an investigation over the next couple of months, and hopefully by, you know, March or you know, we're going to wait till the anniversary, I think, of when maybe to release a film, but I'm going to start working on it and announce whether we're actually going to go forward with it if we get enough support through Patreon and through viewers like you who are interested in, you know, if Bob Lazar is the thing you want to do, then, you know, get in on it. Otherwise, you know, I'll just let this topic kind of fade into obscurity. I'm going to do a couple, you know, other interviews or whatever if people want to have me on for debates or interviews with this topic. We're gonna get into a lot more of the debunking on some of the, on every single aspect of even the stuff I haven't covered thoroughly. We're gonna get into in some of these other podcasts and stuff. But I could really put together a thorough documentary if we had the right kind of funding and backing. If people are, you know, are interested enough and want to see something like this done. Or if someone came along and was like, dude, I know this has been bunk and I can't stand how many people are falling for it, and, you know, I want someone to really, you know, just put this thing to rest once and for all. You know, here's the money to do it. I'll put it up front, you know, then you know, contact me. We'll talk, we'll work something out, and, like, you know, I'll take the time off of work and devote it fully to a project like this. And I got the people that are willing to do it too. And you know, all of us are centered around the East Coast, and we could meet up somewhere around the, you know, the central East Coast, and have a sit-down meeting, all of us, and talk about putting our own documentary together. And I don't know, it's an idea, and again, it may not even be worth it at this point. But if I see this getting any more attention and any more, you know, people are just really taking it seriously, I think I'm going to have to do something like this, because it really ought to be done. It hasn't been done before, and really needs to be done by somebody. And I think that we could be the people to really do it. I don't know. It's kind of like, I know they work well on a people with an IQ below 90 and stuff, but yeah, it's an era of information overload. Exactly. It's you know, do we waste our time, focusing on stuff like this? And yeah, I think it's not a waste of time if it's that mainstream and it's that popular where that many people know about it and are getting exposed to it and it gets passed around. I would like people to at least have a definitive debunk video where they can refer people to, where it's not something that can easily be thrown out and dismissed, like something that's much more solid and well produced and put together and more thoroughly researched, and arguments are much more well thought out and presented more clearly and irrefutably. You know what I mean? Because yeah, I think so too. So anyways, I'm reading some of the comments here now, and yeah, I don't know. Let me know if anyone has any information they want to share information on Lazar. We're also going back. We've also found his high school. He went to West Tresper Hark or W. Tresper Clark High in Woodland, New York. It's out in New York State, and oh yeah, I have a material scientist from Japan. We should Skype sometime. Definitely, man. Email me again if you want to Skype sometime. Maybe we could set something up and just talk after this. I'm not going to stream for more than a half hour. I'm going to end this in about 5 minutes or so. Anti-gravity tech. Someone asked me, do I believe anti-gravity tech exists? Oh yeah. So let's. I don't want to crush everyone's dream about anti-gravity tech because Bob Lazar's stuff on Element 115's bunk. I want to show people where gravity's kind of at right now, and it deals with the idea of EPR and Einstein-Rosen bridges. The EPR paradox and Einstein-Rosen bridges. EPR equals EPR, quantum entanglement. That quantum entanglement is gravity, but they're probing some of the stuff, and it might actually have something to do with antimatter. And there's this alpha probe right now that CERN is going to do, and they're going to test the gravitational interaction of antimatter. And I had gotten in touch with a physicist who wrote a bunch of papers on it and was involved in some of this research, and I was trying to get him to do an interview, but he's kind of, there's nothing really to interview him on or talk about that would be super, I don't know, it was kind of hard to talk to him about getting him to do an interview, but I haven't gotten back to him either, really followed up on that communication after the first request wasn't received the best as I'd hoped. But it would be interesting to get some of these guys on to talk about these antimatter experiments that they're doing. They're basically trying to see, if antimatter has a push instead of a pull as far as gravity goes. And so they're going to basically build some antimatter particles and then test out their effects of gravity. So it would be interesting if they were to discover something there, and I think that antimatter is definitely something that deserves a lot more attention in the quest for anti-gravity and in the research into anti-gravity. So yeah, I don't think that we should throw anti-gravity completely out the window. I think the idea of gravity waves or gravity as a wave, or that we're using the idea of creating waves or working with gravity as a wave, I think that idea is fundamentally flawed, because it again, we would kind of see the effects of these if it was really a wave, we'd see sort of more of those effects of the wave. Sorry, I yawned. Yeah, so these people are intact for now. You want to come out and get paid for bullshit. What's bullshit about any of this? I get paid for bullshit. I would never want to get paid for bullshit. I would want to get paid for exposing bullshit. And I think that Bob Lazar is bullshit. And I can prove it probably. And I want to get into it full time, man. I could do so much more, man, if we had like a funding mechanism, and I want to do a thing on Ed Fouché too, man. I gotta get that's another thing. I gotta get Dan on it. He says he wants to do a thing on, and he's got so much going on in his personal life that he can't really get on and have time for it. But I want to get Dan on more, because Dan has the scoop. Dan knows more about Bob Lazar than I do, probably. Definitely knows more. He's researched the case in so much depth, and he's definitely going to be a huge help on this film. And he's done a job of convincing a lot of other people that Bob Lazar is a liar, at least a very clever one who's very good at crafting elements of truth and convincing sounding bullshit into his lies. But Ed Fouché is a very complex story, because Ed Fouché knew some stuff and knew people and knew things and had a lot of real credentials, and the stuff about quasi-crystals and metamaterials that was like, but was the TR3B real? Dan seems to think so. He's talked to other people that have confirmed it. But then again, you get all these other people like Dan Burrich and all these other complete frauds that came out and copied Lazar verbatim. Like literally took Lazar and then the UFO community ate it right up, because they were like, oh, well, this guy's confirming Lazar, so Lazar must be right and this guy's right. And all these people, what are all these people wrong and they made up? No, well, yeah, it's true. They all are. They all copied off one another. Lazar copied off Billy Meyer, and then everyone copied off Lazar. It's pretty obvious if you do the research into it and look up everything. So, yeah, I haven't seen the doc yet either. I'm gonna I actually have it. I downloaded it. I could maybe send people. I wish I could give you guys a link, but I don't want to get sued or in any trouble. Jeremy Corbell already friggin' hates me enough. I don't want to give him any reason to sue me. I would love him to sue me for slander, to try to say that I'm lying, or that he's telling the truth, and that I'm somehow lying or making up bullshit, to discredit him or discredit the truth. Like, I don't know what his idea would be, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I know. I'm getting tired too. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm an early bird now. I'm waking up at like 5 in the morning, and I like by like 10:30 I'm like tired and ready to go to bed. So I know people that's not everyone else's schedule. They're up and night right now, Saturday night, and they're ready to party. But man, oh yeah, if I got sued, that would be the best thing that ever happened, because it would all come out, and then I'd be getting interviews on all these shows and stuff too. But I've written to these programs, and they'll report on Lazar and sell that story, because it's safe. It's safe for them to do so. If this was real information and it was such a suppressed, cover up of truth, then why is it getting out on all this mainstream news and getting out there? So, and why aren't they doing anything about it and not reporting, on the other research that it's already been done by, again, Tom Mahood. Tom Mahood, everyone focuses on Stanton Friedman, and it's ridiculous, all the lies and things that Jeremy Corbell said about Stanton Friedman in an attempt to cast people's doubt on Friedman. Oh, Friedman's a disinformation agent, and that he was just jealous of Lazar. It's like, I mean, it's not jealousy. It's like you're really legitimately concerned that all these people are fucking getting fooled and giving their money. They were paying, $20 to $30 a piece for that Lazar tape, for this tape, this Lazar tape. This is the tape you got. Where you order it in the back of the magazine where Lazar pulls up in his Corvette. down the road, and he comes out and he's like, yeah, I worked on Area 51 on flying saucers, and this was, you know, the facility I worked at, and blah blah blah, and this is what I did here, and this is, you know, I'll put it all together for you with this element 115, and this, it's all to sell a tape, and that's all it was for back then, and he's trying to rehash it now and make some more money off it. And we're going to get the real story. I have the real story. I've done a ton of research on this already. Sorry, I'm keep yawning. I've done a ton of research on this already, but we could get so much more. This is like just this is not even scratching the surface. I can debunk everything and really show people the truth. And to leave it off, I think I want to show people this, and really we're gonna watch this, and I want to watch the Janet flight side by side, that video that he's got. So this is a video, and I'm gonna copy this and post it in the chat on the dashboard, and I'm also gonna post it in the links down here. And man, this video is crazy because this guy's filming this thing, right? And it's the light in the sky, and then he zooms in on it. Looks just like a UFO. Looks like the saucer shape, lights, everything, saucer shape. And this is like very similar to that UFO that they were filming for the test flights that on the Wednesday nights that Bob Lazar. How could he known about these test flights? And they were filming a UFO out there, and they were doing the test flights. Well, check this thing out. It's only a minute long, but you're gonna watch this UFO turn and slowly morph into what it really is. Here it comes. Wait for it. And this is what I believe they were filming on those test flights out there. They were going out in those test flights and filming this thing. Oh, look what it is. It's actually an airplane. And it's, guess what? Those are the lights, the beacons in the front. It's actually heading straight toward them. And from their position where they would have been at Tikaboo Peak, filming these UFOs, this UFO, the direction their camera would have been, it would have been an incoming flight from Nellis Air Force Base into Area 51 from Nellis to the south, and it would have been an incoming Janet flight bringing the workers there, and they did the flights on those nights. And John Lear was this big time UFO buff from Las Vegas, who was doing all kinds of research into Area 51, knew about it, was trying to get any information he wanted, had the whole story. He had the whole scoop on Area 51 back in 1989. John Lear did. And he wanted to get the friggin' story out. And what better way to get the story out? He needed Lazar to get the story out. And him and Gene Huff, I don't know if they convinced Lazar to do it. I'm pretty sure they all worked together on it and have been. I don't know. It's crazy why Lear gave that interview with Project Camelot and said all the stuff going against Lazar, and you know, Lazar's timeline. We're gonna go over that. He wrote out the timeline, gave dates for everything, and we analyzed this. Man, like. This is the real story. John Lear had the story on Area 51 and needed some disinformation in order to sell it, because people don't believe real information. They need a lie, like a well packaged lie, in order to sell it or put it out there and believe it. It's kind of crazy. So I don't know. All I do know, I just don't know what to do about it and how to convince other people, because they're not going to believe me either way. Or some people do, though. A lot of people watching do, and they know the truth. They know we do good research on this channel, and that we're open to information and evidence and truth of all kinds. But when we find out the truth, we find out someone's lying, no matter how much time and money and credibility we've invested into that person, we're going to throw them under the bus. just like I did with Ed Fouché, although maybe a little prematurely about some of Ed Fouché. I could kind of like throw all the baby out with the bathwater, kind of idea. So some people, one guy actually accused me of doing that with Lazar, but I'm like, no, it's all bathwater, dude. Element 115, like right down the whole rung. Like every bit of his story is bathwater. Let's analyze it. Let's talk about it. Any single bit. Let's do it. But anyways, if you guys think it's a good idea, let me know. Email me. Show me your support. thealienscientist@gmail.com, or become a Patreon, and become a patron, and post on my wall. Tell me, what you want to hear, what you want to see, what kind of stuff, or if you have any information or links or leads to anyone that wants to be interviewed or has information on Bob Lazar, send it to my email. I'm going to get in touch with these people, put my team in touch. We could put a team together and get an investigation into this and put out a documentary within 6 months, and it would blow Corbell's documentary completely out of the water and really put this case to rest once and for all. So I don't know. If you guys are interested, let me know. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time, hopefully sooner than later. Merry Christmas if I don't see you, though. Thanks, guys.